G'day, hi and welcome. Okay, so I got to get this thing up to the top. I know this stuff's not good for me. Climbing a ladder with one hand, not very good. But today we are going to discuss keels. Now I've been doing some, I'll just put that right there, right in the water, right in the water. Look at that nice shiny boat. Look at how shiny that is. And I still got to put the polish and the last coat of wax on it. Then I'm going to start on the side here. See, it's been raining. You see how this is dry? That's not good, because that's telling me that it needs more wax. It needs to be polished and waxed. It's not that bad, but when you see like beads left on it, it means the wax is still good. See, on this side, it's the same thing. It's getting kind of dry. It's starting to soak up the moisture a bit. Not really bad, but you get the idea. Like, you should see this on the whole boat just when it's properly waxed. Okay, so what are we looking at here? What we're looking at here, there's my keel, and I'll give you the profile of the keel and the boat. You can see it's a very, very solid keel. That's about 2,000 or 2,200 pounds right there. Needs a little bit of cleaning up, but it's otherwise a pretty good keel. So that part of it is a fin keel, but let's go back to here. What are we looking at here? Well, what we're looking at is a skeg rudder. It's the skeg. And this is about as tough as you can get a rudder. Top, bottom. You see, shakes the whole boat. Protects the rudder. Although it's not the most efficient design, but what you're looking at here is, I want you to imagine the bottom of that skeg rudder right here, okay, just following through. This would have been a full keeled boat at one point if it was designed that way. This is what's known as a cutaway keel, and you can see right there you've got your fin rudder. So why take all that stuff out? Why not just leave everything there? Well, this is kind of what you would call the best of both worlds, where you have a rudder that tacks nice and well, and it's not too deep a draft, and is built in such a manner that you can see how the hull comes down to meet the rudder. It is a bolted through the hull. There is that. I mean, right at that joint there, that's all lead pretty much the whole way down. But this is not a racing keel. It's not quite a shoal keel. It's almost like a shoal keel, as you can see how the rudder the rudder comes in like that, nice and smooth. So it's very smooth. It's to take impact, so if you unfortunately hit something. But notice how the rudder kind of bells out at the bottom. Well, the reason why it bells out at the bottom is it keeps the weight low, like a full keel, but it also allows you to have shallower draft. So it's not quite a shoal keel where you'd have a big bulb at the bottom. And then of course back here you could see how this is just the whole hull. I mean, if you take a hit, you're going to take a hit on this before you take a hit on your rudder. So that's one type. Now, I don't have other boats in my in the yard here, because this is just my my personal boat yard, basically the house. And I don't have a regular fin keel to show you, or a full keel, or a bulbed keel, or one of the as I mentioned, whoa, very slippy in here. Okay, there's a lesson I'm just going to show you that I just showed you. It's called one hand for yourself, one hand for the boat. Damn it, that was slippy. So let's keep going on keel designs. If I wasn't hanging on to anything, that could have been really bad. I'm just going to close this up. It'll darken in here, but it might keep the little blood-sucking vampire mosquitoes out as well. So that's my primary goal. Yeah, I'll do that. So we're going to have a discussion on the keels. So the keel I bought, or the boat I bought that type of keel for a reason. I bought that keel because when you're buying your first boat, this is not my first boat, this is my second boat. A lot of thought went into this boat, believe it or not. This is a Hughes 26E. There's 3 variants of this boat. There's the North Star, which is the kind of like the Cadillac version. Everything's the same except for there's a few more anemones on the inside. You can research it and see if that would be the boat for you. The next thing about this boat is extremely seaworthy for 26-footer, and it's probably the largest, roomiest 26-footer. I mean, from that gunwale to that gunwale, it's 9 feet. So 9 or 9.5 feet. So this is a big 26-footer, and from all the way down there to all the way up there is 6 feet. But anyway, that's another story for another time. So I want to get, let's say if you watch my other series on BitChute or whatever, wherever I'm going to throw all these videos, about buying a boat. I will do a small video on that, but if you want to see the more in-depth video, you can go check out my BitChute. Links will be down below. But let's say you bought a boat and you went through all crossing your T's and dotting your I's, because there's more to buying a boat than most people think, and whatever. And you picked a boat. Now you want to go buy the boat, but what kind of boat do you want? Well, I like to start from the bottom of the boat up, because it really, let's say you want a racer cruiser, okay? Or you want a cruiser, a solid cruiser, a liveaboard, maybe you're just a club racer, maybe you want a day sailor, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Let's say you're going with a monohull. In this case, with the keel discussion, it's basically about monohulls. So what you're looking at is a cutaway keel design on this boat. So it gives you kind of the best of both worlds, where a full keel will come down the whole length right to the back of the boat. You'll have the most protected rudder usually attached to that full keel. And if you run aground, and because the keel comes down in that, and the ballast is all the way down into the built, basically the keel is the hull. It's the strongest, and that's, some people argue, the safest. I don't like that term, the safest, because I'd rather say the most durable rather than the most safe. Safe is a word that you got to be careful in sailing, because what is safe? You know what I mean? Like if you run aground, you know, yeah, the keel, a full length keel might be able to take that impact a lot better. The cutaway keel like I have might take it better than a fin keel, a really long, high aspect ratio fin keel. We won't get too much into those type of terms, because this is to keep it as extremely simple for people as possible, and to wrap this up in maybe 1 or 2 parts. The thing is that you run aground with a full keel boat, and you're on a reef. Well, you're going to get holes in the hull anyway. So the thing about a keel, a full length keel, is the advantages is that they usually track well, and that you do have a lot of righting ballast, which is really good. When you're picking a boat, boats will be so much percentage self-righting. This boat, I believe, is 55% self-righting. So in theory, if I end up in a 180 knockdown, i.e. upside down, this boat should, if the keel is perfectly up and down, it'll eventually start to wander to one side, and it'll eventually completely come back up. When a boat's upside down, it'll get hydrodynamic suction, which could keep a boat upside down indefinitely, unless you force it over. That's why you'll see guys on dinghies, they go over, the boats don't even weigh 200 pounds, but they're sitting there pulling on the dagger board to try to get the boat past a balance point, so that the keel takes over and brings you back up. So if you're 55% knocked down, or 60%, you might have to go to here before the keel actually takes over and brings you back up. So if you're in a really big boat and there's a lot of suction, the boat might just stay upside down. So there's no boat that is 100% really 100% righting most of the time. Usually you have to kind of nudge it to get it to move to come back up. And that's an aspect ratio for righting. This is why a lot of people like those big, heavy, long keels. The drawback is they're slow. The second drawback to a full-length keel is that even though it might be stronger than the fin keel on side impact, like if you run aground or whatever, and all the keels are built fairly well. I'll leave it at this. I'll make a part 2. I was hoping to do it in part 1, but it's a big discussion, so just watch for part 2.